loss. The CBC's Briar Stewart is with us again tonight, and she has the day's developments. Briar.
Peter, I'm at an airstrip near Conklin, which is south of Fort McMurray, and this is a staging area for military aircraft. 4 Griffin helicopters have been brought in, so have 20 military personnel, and they're helping the hundreds of firefighters who have been deployed. Even now, with all the water bombers in the air, this fire is still raging. Crews haven't been able to stop it from spreading, so focused on protecting key infrastructure, and so far, most of that has been spared. But so much else hasn't. Some streets have been completely destroyed, properties reduced to ash. Yet in other neighborhoods where there has been damage, many homes are still standing. It's the not knowing which makes it so difficult.
There's 15 houses gone on our street with my house. My boyfriend's street, they lost 13 houses, so you don't even know what's back there.
About 25,000 of the evacuees are north of the fire, and today airlifts began to take many of them south to Edmonton. Others lined up in their vehicles waiting for Highway 63 to open, and they grew frustrated when it remained closed.
Now, where's Transport Canada? Where's the government? Let's make that call. Let's open this highway.
South of Fort McMurray, evacuees are scattered throughout the province. Many were forced to flee the fire for a second time last night when winds pushed the flames and the smoke to the southeast, creating this ominous fire cloud which hung heavy overhead.
The municipal fire
made conditions even worse.
Began to create its own weather, even creating its own high winds yesterday, and even lightning was coming from the smoke clouds that it created.
Officials say this fire is going to keep growing over the next few days until this area gets some desperately needed rain. There's still no sense of when people may be able to return to Fort McMurray, and the gravity of what just happened is now hitting them.
The adrenaline is gone, the panic, and now it's just the waiting game, and you start getting frustrated, you get angry, you want to go back, you feel helpless.
But Kim McGregor and her husband admit they're anxious about returning to a city which they fled so dramatically.
From what we've seen leaving and what we've seen over the few days as it was burning down was absolutely apocalyptic. It was something that you'd see in a movie, and a disaster movie. And we lived it.
I'm scared to go back. I'm scared to see it.
Very frightening to see it.
Officials were asked today about the scale of the damage and just how difficult it will be to rebuild.
But I must be very, very direct about this. It is apparent that the damage to the community of Fort McMurray is extensive, and the city is not safe for residents at this time.
Since this morning, 4,000 of the people who were in that evacuation zone north of Fort McMurray have been airlifted out. And starting tomorrow, the highway will reopen somewhat. People will be escorted out in an RCMP convoy. Peter.
You know, Briar, the fire at Fort McMurray is clearly the most devastating, but what can you tell us about the other fires in the province?
Well, it's very dry and very windy, and that's why the province has put in place a fire ban across all of Alberta, because there are 49 fires burning. And in another firefighting effort in northwestern Alberta today, a water bomber slid off the runway. There was some minor damage to that aircraft, and we understand that the 2 pilots were taken to hospital for examination. Peter.
All right, Briar, thank you. Now, as Briar mentioned, Fort McMurray evacuees are spread out both north and south of the city. One place that has taken in thousands more than it normally holds is Lac La Biche, where the outreach has come in some surprising shapes and sizes. The CBC's Chris Brown is there tonight with the details. Chris.
Well, Peter, we really have seen an impressive effort from the community of Lac La Biche. It is, as you say, not large, just around 2,500 people or so, but they're helping close to 12,000 evacuees, many of whom have suffered a great deal of loss. The volunteers of Lac La Biche have tried to make this temporary home as welcoming as possible for the thousands who've suddenly arrived. There's donated clothing, children's toys, food, a place to sleep, and remarkably even a shelter for pets.
You know what? I'm utterly shocked that they have this.
What a relief, says Terry Galloway, that her dogs won't be stuck in her truck until she figures out where to go next.
But at the end of the day, they're alive and we're all alive and we're all together, so, you know, whatever. They'll survive it.
It's critical. Veronica and Michael Provencher need new coats, new clothes, new everything.
My insurance company cut us out a nice check.
Fortunately, that early insurance payout will help. A few companies already have staff here, and for some families, it may be the only cash they see for a while. With many just thankful to be alive, the vast implications of what's happened to Fort McMurray are only just starting to sink in.
Yeah, it's hit home this morning.
New Brunswicker Angus Cote is a contractor who installs heavy doors in Fort Mac. He doubts he'll have any work for a while.
Out on site that they got rid of all contractors for now, so who knows how long that's going to take. So, but the good news, I heard that the EI is actually letting people come in. They're going to fast track it. So my next stop after this is going to EI and get set up for that. So at least that's a little bit of money coming in.
We're just going to leave town and probably go to Regina's.
We caught up with Alex Belland and his girlfriend as they were heading out of town. His job as a landscaper is done too.
I don't know. There's really nobody left in town, so I guess we don't know where the customers are going to stay, where they're going to go, if they're going to come back, if there's going to be much of a town left to begin with.
The Lac La Biche volunteers can help with many things, but replacing lost jobs is not among them.
We have some tree.
Ooh. Nor can they replace some of the more personal losses. Of all the people we met here, Chantal Giraud-Boutin had perhaps the most touching story of her little dog, Buddy. His twin, Mocha, survived the fire. Buddy did not.
He passed away, but he was in good hand because my husband had the time to go and get it in the house and they can help. He had fire behind him, but at least he didn't die in the house.
She says a community volunteer put Buddy in a box for them to bring in their truck and bury wherever they end up.
He's with us. He was my happiness, my love. I have to keep positive.
Well, you do hear a lot of that, Peter. People trying to stay positive, but increasingly you're also hearing some frustration, hearing people who wonder why wasn't it possible to give people an earlier warning, why wasn't it possible to get them evacuated sooner. But all in all, I think the reception folks got here today did ease some of those frustrations. Peter.
All right, Chris.